Yes, we are back here on Media Estate. My name is Ogwang, and today we have an interesting topic to discuss. We told you very Media Estate are very informative, inclusive, and up to date. Today we want to discuss the newly passed sports bill. It is awaiting to be ascended to by the President of the Republic of Uganda. The sports bill is the one that is going to be replacing the old one that was there. So we want to delve into it and understand, is it going to be helping the sports people in the country? And I'm glad today I'm joined by the National Council Sports Secretary General, Dr. Ogwang Patrick. Doctor, I'm a pleasure to host you today.
My pleasure too, and I think it is a good moment as we reflect on the International Women's Day and the contribution of mothers in this world. Firstly, I want to thank God and all the Ugandans who love sports and support sports, and we want our sport industry in the country to be developed by government. I am particularly very excited that on the 3rd of March 2023, our Parliament of Uganda, under the presiding officer, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, Honourable Anita, were able to see our sports bill being passed by Parliament, awaiting assent by the President. The beauty of this is that it is more than 5 decades we have not seen a new law. And when you ask yourself, the generation of today, Uganda's population in 1964 was about 6.2 million people. Actually, it was about 6.5 million, if I'm to be specific. Meaning that today we are celebrating Uganda's population at 44 million. A lot more, therefore, should have been done to build our sport industry, looking at the perspective of what the law should offer in streamlining administration, the privatization of government in delivering for each citizen. From that background, I want to join all Ugandans first to thank Parliament of Uganda, as I mentioned, the Right Honourable Speaker of Parliament and the entire team, my Minister for Sports, Honourable Peter Ogwang, my team in Ministry of Education and Sports, the Attorney General and the entire crew, my council, the National Council Sports Council, and all the sports federations and stakeholders who made contributions, without also not saying that the media really participated in the bringing to the limelight the challenges and the absence of a proper law. But allow me to also thank Cabinet, chaired by His Excellency the President, who passed the sports bill as a requirement of the law some months back, and make it a priority that this law must be achieved within this financial year.
When do we expect him to assent to this new passage?
That is a difficult question for me, because the President has his own constitutional responsibility, firstly, to understand what the bill will offer for the citizen of this country, and at his discretion, he would be able to assent to it. I may not put in a timeline for that, but we think what has been done, because the Attorney General was part and parcel of this process, definitely would advise the President positively, and we see that this particular bill will be assented to as a matter of national priority.
Doctor, let us look at some of the issues that were majorly debated and contested. The issue of incorporation of federations.
I wanted to first start by giving the overview.
Yes.
Then I will be able to touch base on some of those contentious issues.
Yes.
Firstly, as I indicated, this is a very important exercise government has undertaken in this financial year for the good of sports development in the country. And I feel proud as a General Secretary of Council, who has been part and parcel of this development since the time I joined the Council in 2017. The new sports bill, which will repeal the National Council Sports Act of 1964, provides for the establishment of the recognition and reward scheme You are aware our athletes, as and when they have been participating in major international events, it has always been the president, His Excellency the President, providing recognition and providing what I would call monthly stipend. But the law now has come very clear to put it clear for government to put a scheme for national recognition and reward for the excellence of our sport athletes as and when they perform in these games, international fora. To me, this is inspirational. It addresses one of the key issues in talent identification and development, but also to make sport industry be looked at as a lucrative industry, because you will encourage your children to also take on sports. If I am not mistaken, sport is the most paying job in the whole world. I know you support Arsenal, you support Manchester, but you can look through the list of the value, the signings of some of these players. The money is unheard of in Uganda here. But this is where we want to go. Uganda's potential of exporting talents across the globe. The other part is that this act provides for declaration of national sports federations in a number of aspects on the sources of the funding, which this time around will compel all the registered national sports federations to list and provide to government their sources of funding, ranging from the sponsorships, contribution to the national sport federations, membership fees collections, individual contributions. Some federation leaders say they are the ones running their federation using their own money. They will be able to ask where is the source of the money they use to run their federation. It will be clear. And many others. The other one is even including donations. The act also will provide for registration of the new sports organizations. Much as we shall recognize the sport disciplines, which I think by conclusion of 3rd March, which Parliament passed this bill, there were 50 federations, because one university sport was deleted from the Schedule 2 by Parliament, because they say it is a multi-sport discipline. So it cannot qualify to be a sport discipline. It is a multi-sport discipline. So that's the reason I would want to say. Now, the other aspect is that it also will provide for administration and management of sports in Uganda, which in this case has detailed roles of each of the national sport federations. It also specifies roles of National Council of Sports, Uganda Olympic Committee, among others. And the other aspect, which is very important, has been long overdue, that it will provide for the creation or establishment of a national anti-doping agency by the government of Uganda. And we hope that this will be an independent body mandated to do the anti-doping administration of athletes, but also in line with the World Anti-Doping Agency regulations. Aware that most of our players are now international, and they are the topic, and they are being followed by the international regulations that is assigned to the anti-doping agency. Now, in this case, that establishment is a new creation that for us will have value. One, to address aspects of abuse, drug abuse. There are those prohibitive substances that are not supposed to be consumed or used by athletes. And in itself, it is also a danger to human life and life of athletes. But it's also anti-development in the sports world. Then it also provides for the role of the Uganda Olympic Committee as our National Olympic Committee. This was not in the other law. The other one, which is a new development but very, very critical, is that the new law will provide for the settlement of sport disputes. There's going to be an arbitration tribunal to settle disputes or wrangles within the sport industry. And the council and federations will be required to list at least 30 arbiters, which will be changed after over 2 years, as advised by the minister. Now, the other important but very critical is that the new sports bill definitely will repeal the National Council of Sports Act, capped 48, and all other related matters. I would wish to note very strongly that the main object of this sports bill is to promote recreation and sports for the citizens of Uganda by the state in accordance with the Article 8A of the Constitution of Uganda, and also the National Objective and Directive Principle of State Policy number 17, by consolidating the law relating to registration and regulation of national sports organizations, also promoting amateur and professional sports. What you need to know is that the National Council Sports Act as of now was centering basically on amateur sports. It did not take much toll in terms of giving avenues of development in the professionalization of any sport discipline. It also brings on board codifying the obligation of Uganda and international sports governing statutes, providing sport dispute resolution mechanisms, promoting participation of schools and institutions of higher learning, which was not provided for in the National Council Sports Act. Yes. The other one is, shall also compel government to coordinate sports activities at all levels, and in this case, National Council Sports. It will also prescribe standards to guide sports development as an industry in this country, support capacity building of human resource that engage in sport. That means also government will do capacity building, because we need human resource personnel who are educated, who are trained to manage, because this is an industry. It must build its own capacity. You need trained coaches, you need trained managers, trained administrators, but also facilitate the activities of national sports teams and affiliates represent Uganda in the national fora. As I indicated, the national recognition and reward scheme is provided for, and the minister will be required at a appropriate time to provide and prescribe relevant guidelines or statutory by statutory instrument to provide for reward and recognition of our distinguished athletes who perform and represent Uganda and excel. I note here that the law will also provide specifically the registration of the sports federations, what they should come up with, what they should have, but more importantly, it gives power to the council, National Council of Sports, to withdraw recognition of a national sport federation. I note here specifically that it recognizes only one national registered sport federation, and which must be a body corporate with perpetual succession and may in its corporate name for and connection with its function under this act acquire, all, dispose of movable and immovable property, sue or be sued, and do all such acts and things for the proper discharge of its function as may lawfully be done by a body corporate. Now, this is not the current status quo in the current National Council of Sports Act. This would be providing a platform for federations to be body corporates, and will not limit them. Now, council will be able to provide this platform of registration, and they will be recognized. Just like in the political organization, where they registered, they became immediately body corporates. This is a new development, which you must appreciate. As I indicated, one of the key highlights on eligibility of registration of a national sports federation is that it will require national sports federation to be engaged in amateur sports for that sport discipline, to have a national character, and for this purpose specifically, you hear this one. Any national sports federation must have its presence in at least 50 districts of Uganda. 2, the leadership, if it is a football, it must have its elective assembly in an annual general meeting comprising of persons drawn from at least 50% of the districts of Uganda. And in this case also, the minister, by any statutory instrument, make regulations to prescribe procedures for transforming a national sports association to a national sports federation. Now we are saying that we are going to have 2 different tiers: National Sports Federation in the apex, and national sports associations in the lower apex. I mean, in the lower end. That means we are going to start declassifying national sport federations in terms of their attributes and professional growth. So we shall look at the amateur, we shall look at the professionalism. This is a very unique situation.
Yeah.
Like you say today, how many federations you consider have the capacity, full capacity, to be a national sport federations under new law? That is subject to debate. Definitely, we talk about eligibility of registration national sport federation. And this is another very key part, which says it must have participation of Ugandans in at least 75% of the districts of Uganda.
Doctor.
Now, these are very clear issues. Then for leadership, you might want to be a leader, to be elected the president. You must be elected by an annual general assembly comprised of persons drawn from at least half of the districts of Uganda. As of now, the federations who are within the central region, within the streets of Kampala, I think this is a particular issue, because there was a case you people in the media were putting cases for us that they are briefcase federations. We don't know the offices.
Right from there.
Now, this will be addressed. You can see some of the new things coming up. And this would be for the good of, because a national sport federation, in its holistic nature, must be representative and must have a national character. This is the principle behind this. To have national what? Character, and that is what this emphasis is all about. It also lays down application for registration to be a national sport federation. I may not go to detail, but what is important, it introduces the new role of the accounting officer of an applicant national sport federation. The accounting officer must be declared and details submitted. Source of funds also declared. The leadership and governance structure also declared. And among others, consider the symbol, slogan, and colors of a national sport federation. This is supposed to be distinguished. So these are new innovations. I may not want to take you through what is required in the application under this. But what is clear, there must be a certified copy of the constitution of that registered national sport federation. There must be a list of members of that national sport federation. There must be a report of activities of that national sport federation undertaken within a period of 1 year. A list of the districts your activities is being undertaken. We already talked about the percentage. The minutes of the General Assembly, sport leaders that are elected in that office. So if, for example, you said you are the president of the federation, it demands you to produce minutes of the General Assembly where you were elected to be president of Ludo, for example. And you know there are issues there for some federations. I already see it. And evidence of payment of application fees, among others. And this will be at the discretion of council, which is also it's under the same clause 12, where it's supposed to consider application of the various applicants.
Doctor, for the benefit of our viewers out there, we want now to understand the feasibility of this bill. How is it the practicality of it, the implementation side of it? Doctor, what you've read is very, very good. But most of the times that sports and education move together. Now, the implementation side of this bill is somehow going to be challenging because it requires a lot of resources the government doesn't have, financial resources, the human capacity that some of these federations don't have. Don't you think that you, as a National Council of Sports, you have now a big weight to see that you, first of all, capacity building and looking for finances that the government doesn't have?
But to the contrary, for me, this law set a very good criteria for recognition and registration of National Sport Federation, which perhaps was lacking. And perhaps would stop this aspect of saying this federation is for a family, this federation is for a briefcase. It would set a national character and framework that would create confidence in that sport and also administration of that sport. Because the parameters are already laid. That will be the duty of council to determine that, which is also prescribed under clause 12. So first, in terms of eligibility, or which federations will be recognized, it will be very clear. It will clear the doubts. Like today, you have been asking me questions. You don't understand some of the sports. At that time, you're saying, what is VX? What is Zorkana? What is what? No, those are complicated things. Now you understand that they would have, and by the way, it also creates opportunity for us when they apply for us to have a public hearing. We're supposed to make the public know which disciplines have applied, and we ask you if there is an objection. By you can give us a reason, and that application is cancelled.
Yes.
You can see, so that it brings a lot of transparency in the processes of registration of a national sports federation. So nobody would come here with this file in the armpit and submit under the carpet and say, I've applied. It will be a public document. It will be scrutinized by the public, scrutinized by council, and at the time this is done, then the council will be able to gazette. Now, the other key issues I wanted to assure you, which is the beauty of it, among other beauties, is that it provides for the licenses certificate to be renewable every 1 year. So that means when you get it, you are not going to tell us you are going to survive forever. If you don't meet those requirements,
you have right to cancel.
Council will come in and withdraw, not cancel, withdraw the recognition.
Yes.
So to keep everybody at par, to ensure that there's a professional growth.
In the event that you withdraw the certificate, what happens to that sport?
Definitely, the constitution provides for that sport not to be recognized by government. It will be removed from the register of government. That is it. The rest you can ask somebody else to explain you, because every constitution of a federation has its own structure on the dissolution, and that cannot be dictated by a government law. But it provides for us to withdraw you from our register. That's what it provides.
Yes.
And of course, there are grounds for cancellation. You said cancellation of certificate, renewal of certificate of registration. The grounds are very clear. This law also provides for the functions of national sport federations. Sometimes you have been wondering, what is the role of a national sport federation? Now the law provides for it. Under clause 16, it is very clear. So, you will not ask me. These people don't know what they're doing. You will be tagging them on what the law provides for them to do for this country.
As we're moving step by step, can a federation be registered as a limited company?
Why not? The form of incorporation is provided. They just come here and then register with us. That's incorporation. It is not like they are tied to what they are doing as of now, where they have to get to be register with the trusteeship and the rest. It is open now.
It is open.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So they have to undertake that, and there's a period for the transition which is provided for. Now, I've talked about the performance of the function of council, which is very clear on what should be done. But you also note that one of the key issues that is of interest introduced, it requires federations to certify their agents, player agents, promoters, managers of athletes, and managers of contracts with athletes. Now, the national sport federations or associations shall give accountability for all money and donations received from the government, international sport federation, sponsors, member clubs, and teams and individuals, among others. Now, this will compel, because I hear that some federations will get money from that international sport federation by mobile. How would you know? How would you track? So it will be you have to declare. It will be actually criminal. This is prescribed under some of the regulations here. It also creates for independence of national sports associations and sport federations. They will be independent in performance of their functions and duties, and the exercise of its powers, and the interpretation and application of their statutes and regulations for the discipline which they have registered for. Although, I note here, it also provides for international affiliation of a national sport federation for purpose of fulfilling the requirement of recognition. It is provided for in this law. It is provided for the management of sports teams and athletes, international sports competitions, into detail. Who selects a player? Sometimes some people think it is government which selects players. It's a sport federation that selects players, that develop players, that train players, that present players.
Doctor, the issue of developing players, the issue of academy raised a lot of focus on the floor of Parliament.
Well, the issues there is only one. Government wants to know what happens in these academies. And by that, the regulation, now the law, provides that all academies will be licensed by National Council of Sports on recommendation of that respective sport discipline. That's what the law provides. Yes. Now, the other one is that register of national sports associations must be submitted to National Council of Sport. You know, like any federation will have its members. They must be submitting the register of their members. You have had issues where some federation leaders have held the membership of their federations under their armpit. They only unveil them when election is coming because they want to control on the regularity of the membership of the federation for political reason and gain. This time you must declare, it must be known. Yes. And also when they do, council has a duty to validate, to confirm that those federations are actually your members. Because in your constitution you submit to me, we would go deep to find out the role of the clubs, the members. Because your statutes will tell us what your member are supposed to do, what is the role of your member. Because you can give us a ghost list. And therefore that would also lead to the withdrawal recognition if a federation send a fake list. Participation in national sport competition outside Uganda, it is also provided. Annual financial report of National Sport Federation is provided. Now the other one I've already talked about, certification of agents, promoters, managers of athletes. A person who seeks to be an agent, a promoter or a manager of an athlete shall be certified by National Sport Federation of the athlete. An agent or promoter or manager shall enter into a management contract respectively. But what I want to mention here is that a national federation shall register agents, promoters, and managers of athletes. It certifies under section 1. The minister shall by statutory instrument prescribe for the certification of agents, promoters, and managers, and prescribe the contents of management contracts of agents, promoters, and managers. Now, what does this mean? The minister will be able to come up with an instrument, statutory instrument, to prescribe the manner in which those agents should do their business. Because one, there's been a lot of cries on exploitation of some of these players by their managers. Some home, local managers, some foreign-based. They say these affairs are run, but the man they get goes to. So some of these issues will address it. 2 is on abuse. Managers abusing the athletes which they're supposed to manage. You have had cases of sexual harassment and all that. These are issues which is being referred to the minister to come up with a statutory instrument to regulate, but also to know what they are doing. Okay? And the declaration must come. A register of beneficial owners of sports federations shall also be submitted. Now, in this case, the names and postal addresses of each beneficial owner must be declared and submitted to council with the national identification number, that is NIN number, the date each of those beneficial owners was entered to register, date to which any person ceased to be a beneficial owner, and any other information as may be prescribed by the minister. Now, the solution of the national association you asked about.
Yes.
I note here that national associations or federations may be dissolved by the council. This council here, this is one of the powers added to us, where the activities of National Sport Federation or association contravene any of the provision of this act or any other law. 2, the National Sport Association, National Sport Federation has acted against security, unity, and territorial integrity of Uganda. And of course, it just talked about notwithstanding section 1, the members of National Sports Association or Federation may voluntarily dissolve the National Sports Association, National Sports Federation in accordance with their constitution. The constitution, what we call the statutes. The other one is that they can also do this in writing within 7 days of making a decision to dissolve the National Sports Federation. And the council would be required. Now, this must be also put in the National Gazette for circulation in a wide media circulation notice for dissolution at least 3 months before, with the grounds which are clear for dissolution. Now, the other pity I wanted to bring here is that the new law provides for community sports clubs. Yes, this one is direct. Of course, we shall require that administratively we shall issue an instrument. Because if, for example, you are promoting sports, discipline or football, we expect to get a recommendation from football. And we expect football to be in charge of their sport by ensuring that their brand is protected. Because if they are doing a business of football development, they must meet the requirement for football development laid down in the competition regulations of football. In other words, we shall require federations to come up with regulations for their individual community clubs registered with them. How would they expect them to participate in the various sport? I know a community club may want to participate in any game, any sport, but if it is available, the Volleyball Federation must be responsible to provide the guidance. Football the same, respectively. But here we are empowering them because we are saying you can be in a legal entity, you can be a body corporate with perpetual succession rights, and in that regard, you can discharge your function. You can acquire, you can own, you can dispose of any movable or immovable property. You can be sued or sue, and among others, do another such thing that you can do for purposes of developing your brand.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before we proceed,